Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. So in today's video I want to show you how I achieve this gorgeous eye look. So if that's something you're interested in, then definitely do keep on watching. Starting off, I am trimming off the excess eyebrow hairs. I usually like to do this with a silicone shaper. If you find that this is a bit difficult for you to do, then I recommend having a professional do it for you, and then getting this little razor, and then any excess hair that grows, you just trim it. It's really easy. Make sure to do it really slowly and have the razor at an angle, and to be able to trim even at the beginning of the brows, because some people do tend to have uni brows. I'm going in with my disposable spoolie just to comb through her eyebrow hairs and to make sure that none of the trimmed eyebrows are on there. And then next up, I'm going in with some micellar water. This is actually not Nivea, it's the Garnier micellar water, but I did put it in the Nivea bottle just because I needed to carry something that was a bit lighter. And I'm using a wet wipe to just clean her face, and then going in with a Layla Skin Rose Water. I absolutely love this toner, and you guys you've seen me use it on multiple videos. The purpose of it is usually to hydrate the skin and to plump up the skin in preparation for the makeup, and it's also a really nice base for the makeup to be able to sit on. And this disposable fan is from Shop with Talia on Instagram, and I'm just blending in the rose water just to make sure that her skin absorbs it quickly before we get started with her eyebrows. So as usual, I'm going in with some translucent powder. This is the Sasha Buttercup powder, setting powder, and I'm using a powder puff to just push in the product all over her eyebrows, and then going in with a spoolie again to make sure I remove the excess. And then I'm using a really sharp pencil. I think this is Davy's pencil in the number 18 if I'm not wrong. It's usually the closest shade to her eyebrows, but you can go in with number 30 or number 4 depending on how dark or how light you want it. And then I'm just outlining the bottom part of her eyebrow and the top part of her eyebrow. So what I would say in this one is, regardless of how the eyebrow hair is growing, you want to make sure that you go in a really straight line. So don't let the eyebrow hairs have grown guide you. As long as you started it on a straight line, just continue going on a straight line, and then at the end make sure to extend just a little bit so that when you come in with your concealer to clean up, none of the eyebrow is trimmed off. So again, I'm going in with the top part and just filling in, outlining the top part, and I'm still using the same pencil. And at the corner, I'm making sure that I now move my motion towards a downward motion, and as you guys can see, I'm using her face as an anchor just so I can have the sharpest lines as possible. I did go into the other eyebrow. A tip that I would give you guys is, once you've done the first eyebrow, make sure that as you're doing the second eyebrow, you sort of pimanisha them. you make sure that they all start at the same place, so that one eyebrow is not higher and the other one lower than the other one. I did go in and filled in her eyebrows with the same pencil, and then because she was having she was going to wear the makeup for a really long time, I went in with a brow pomade. This one is a Haggai and Esther in, I don't really remember the shade, but I got it from Shop with Talia, and I'm using that to fill in the rest of her eyebrow. It's actually almost the same color as her natural brow. And as you do this, make sure that you're going in with your spoolie and distributing the product everywhere so that you don't have harsh lines. At the beginning, I'm going in an upward motion, and then just making sure that any places that have any sparseness, I fill it in with my brow product, and making sure that everything looks as nice and seamless as possible. Next up, I went in with the Illegal concealer. This one is in the shade Fawn. As you guys can see, it matches her exact skin color, and I went in with this flat brush just to conceal. Again, if you guys want a really detailed tutorial on eyebrows, I do have 2 videos on that. For this process, I am using the side of the brush, but you can decide to go in with the tip of the brush. It's all according to what is easier for you. And I am just outlining the bottom part, and later on I'm going to outline the top part of her eyebrow. While you're doing this, make sure you do it step by step. Don't rush and do it the whole way, just because you want it to be as clean as possible. And when you see that you've made a mistake, then always go back. Whether you've gone into the eyebrow, then you can always go in with some brow product and replace that, or if it's a bit too far from the eyebrow, then you can always go back in and clean it up nicely. So I do recommend taking your time with this. And I am also extending that concealer downwards, and then now I'm using the tip just because I want that arch to be really sharp. And I did also go in and used a lighter concealer. This one is the Illegal in the shade Creamy Beige, just because I wanted her eyebrow arch to be really defined and highlighted. And I went in with now the tip of the brush, but later on I did go in with the side of the brush just to make sure that everything is nice and clean. I did the same thing with this other side, but as you guys can see, I also extended some of that concealer downwards because we were going to use that as eyeshadow base. It's a bit lighter, so it's going to make the colors that I choose to use really adhere well. And then I went in with a damp beauty blender and just blended everything out by pushing it in. In blending, you can decide to push in, you can decide to swipe, but usually pushing in gives you more coverage as opposed to swiping, which gives you a bit of a sheer or more natural coverage. Now let's get into the eyes. I'm using the V Beauty powder palette. This one again is from Shop with Talia, and I'm using this brown natural shade as her transition color, and I'm using a fluffy brush just to pack in that product in her crease area. I did go off camera before I started this and set the right underneath her eyebrow with a color that is similar to that, so that the concealer underneath her eyebrow doesn't look shiny. And then now I'm going in with a slightly darker color just to intensify the look, but I'm placing this on the outer edge of her eye and just dragging it ever so slightly towards her inner corner, but not too much. And then I'm making sure that I go back in with the same colors, the first one and the second one, and just make sure that everything looks nice and blended and diffused and that there are no harsh lines. Whenever you're blending out matte shadows, sometimes when you add another color on top of your first, it does tend out to wash the first color, so you want to make sure you go back in with the original color and make sure that it's as intense as you'd like it to be. Next, we went in with some concealer, the same one that we used, the Creamy Beige, and I use this to cut her crease. I am using the very same brush that I used to clean up her eyebrows, and you can see the motion that I'm using is not dragging along but patting in. I found that especially when you want to really define the crease and to find out where you want to put the crease before you get there, this one is a really easy technique to use. So just push in the concealer and drag it as far as you want it to be, and then I'm using my finger. I learned this tip from Ilana Karaoke on Instagram, and I'm just using my finger to just blend out the edge of that concealer, just because you don't want it to be too harsh when you come in with your matte products. I did go back in several times just to make sure that it's the same height, it's the same shape, because sometimes you can find that your cut crease, one of it is lower than the other one is higher. So make sure you just keep checking each of the eyes to make sure that they are as twinny as possible. I went in with the same shade that I used to intensify, and I'm just adding this towards the outer edge of her eye, and I'm pushing in the product with the same brush that I used, and I'm making sure that everything looks nice and diffused. And then I did go in with the same brush that I used to clean up her concealer and also to cut the crease with the same product, and I'm adding this beautiful champagne color. It's a shimmer shade right on this area, and with shimmer shades you want to pat and drag, as opposed to matte shadows, which when you pat and drag, it's more of blending out. But with shimmer, the more you want to intensify the color, so just pat in the area that you want and then just drag along the product to make sure that it looks as intense as possible. And then now I'm going in with clear eyelash glue. This one is from Doozy, and I'm using this as my glitter primer just because I want to go in with pigment later on to intensify this look. If you don't know what pigment is, it's just basically really fine glitter that really makes your eyeshadows stand out, and you can use it for both sheer shadows, both shimmer shadows and matte shadows. So that's what I'm doing over here, and I'm still using the very same brush that I used earlier, and I'm packing it in. With the pigments, you don't want to drag it, you want to pack it in just so you can make sure that the color really stays there. And as usual with pigments and glitters and chunky glitters, there usually is some fallout, so I'm just using this sellotape to just catch all the fallout, because she had done her skin prep before this and I didn't want to wipe everything away. So when you're dealing with glitters and pigments and you have some fallout, then you can always use this method to just remove the fallout and to continue with your skin work. However, this method doesn't really work with matte shadows. If you have some fallout with matte shadows and they don't have that much pigment, or they are not really dark, then you can always use a fluffy blending brush or a powder brush and then just swipe away the product. So the next thing I did is I went in with my favorite eyeliner. This one is the Newborn Beauty Stella eyeliner. It's a liquid eyeliner and I used it to outline her cat eye. And whenever you're doing cat eye, just always ask your client, or if you're doing it on yourself, always look forward, mark the line where you want your eyeliner to be, and then now close your eye and then go back in and fill everything in. That's to make sure that even when you're opening your eye, regardless of whether you have hooded eyes or not, that the eyeliner is really seen. And that is basically the end of the eye look. I did go off camera and I did her mascara and her falsies, and then this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's not a full tutorial. I did lose footage of the previous of the rest of the tutorial. That's her skin, her foundation and all that, but I will be doing a different video on that later. So I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a thing or two. Let me know, would you wear this and where would you wear this to? And until next time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Bye guys. Mwah.